The words of kindness are more healing to a drooping heart than balm or honey. The words of kindness are more healing to a drooping heart than balm or honey. This is the quote that was at the top of the page in my hashtag Rise and Grind planner this morning. At the top of every single page in the planner, we have quotes that are submitted by actual Rise and Grind members. And this quote right here, all of these quotes were submitted long ago, obviously, for us to be able to print them and so on and so forth. And this quote right here was contributed by Blair Critch. And Blair Critch is actually a friend of mine that I met when I was in Greece a few years ago. I had recently left my position at Dan Cummins Chevrolet Buick in Paris, Kentucky, and I was on a trip to Greece with Danelle Delgado and a bunch of Danelle's clients, people that I didn't know. And so here I was in Greece. It was the first time I'd traveled abroad, and got a chance to meet Blair and her husband Ryan and Rob and Krista and just many other amazing superhumans, Kim, just a bunch of them. And we celebrated, and we had a great time in Greece, and I learned a lot, and I grew as a human. Well, fast forward, and our friend Blair faced some challenges. Our friend Blair, it turned out she ended up getting the big C, right? The big C, not little c, but big C. And it came as a shock to everyone. She's an incredibly healthy person. And initially, Blair obviously went through what I believe we all would go through, which is just a state of unbelief, a state of fear, concern, worry, anxiety. But it wasn't long at all before this warrior, and that's the only way to describe her. It wasn't long at all before this warrior stepped up and was like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes to knock this out. And we watched her as she battled through chemo. We watched her as she lost all of her hair. We watched her as she every day posted and shared her vulnerability and her concerns and her worries. We watched her as she continued to be an amazing wife to my friend Ryan, no matter how sick she felt. We watched her as she continued to parent their children at the highest level, whether she felt like it or not. We watched her as she continued to grow and thrive in her business. And she is such an inspiration to me because she was willing to do whatever it takes. And ultimately, my friend Blair was able to beat Big C, at least for now, as we all know. No cure, but she's cancer free. And I'm so super, super proud of her for leaning in and doing whatever it takes for her business, for her loved ones, for her family, for her friends, and for me. And then for submitting this quote, that the words of kindness are more healing to a drooping heart than balm or honey. For her to have such a positive, powerful, energetic, loving heart after going through and seeing some of the darkest days that human beings can see. What an inspiration this morning. Blair Critch, I love you. Thank you for doing whatever it takes, for being a fearless warrior in the face of what many of us will never be able to even imagine. I love you, Mrs. Blair. You're an amazing superhuman.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? See, there's no excuse for you not pushing yourself to the next level. In order for you to create a new you, You must have a new mindset. When teams come together, we can create things that are greater than the sum of all of their parts.
Good morning and welcome to hashtag Rise and Grind. I am your host, Glenn Lundy. I am a husband to one, a father to 8, and the creator of what is going to be the #1 most watched morning show in the world. It is 5:30 a.m. and I hope that you are ready to rise and grind.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Dude, today is Friday. That's right, it's Friday, July 16th, 2021. And what's crazy is today is the very first and the very last time it'll ever be Friday, July 16th, 2021. So I want to make sure we make the absolute most, and I do mean the absolute most of this absolutely incredible day. I'm coming to you live from Santa Ana, Lake Forest, California, somewhere in there. I'm coming to you live from California. It is a little bit after 2:30 a.m. Pacific time over here, and super excited to be here with you this morning. This has been an incredible week for me. I hope that you've had an amazing week being out here in California and being able to spend time with my dealer fam out in Napa Valley, being able to spend time with David Meltzer and his crew the last few days right out here in Santa Ana, California, being able to meet up with some incredible superhumans from Clubhouse, like my man Alpha 6. Yeah, that's right. I got to spend hours with Alpha. I know some of y'all are envious. And I got to spend a bunch of time with Laura Wild as well. I got to see the one and only fabulous Miss Brielle. I got to spend time with Haley last night, Miss Haley Hobson and Rita and their whole crew, which was amazing, right? Keith and Ash and Tiffany. I got to spend some time with them last night. So it's been an amazing trip all the way around from when I left last Thursday. I left my babies. I left my wife. I left my home. I left my studio. And I left my favorite time zone, which is the Eastern time. It's been over a week since then, and spending that time in Dallas earlier in the week or late last week with Alex Flores and Judge Graham, and just being around humans and consuming information and really pushing and stretching the limits of my mind, right, and the limits of my body, running on 2 to 3 hours of sleep each night, some nights more successfully than others. Every night going to bed on time. It was the waking up part that was hard, right? And so stretching the limits, doing whatever it takes to try to take, not to try, doing whatever it takes to take my career, to take my relationships, and ultimately to take my impact to the next level. You see, I believe that we as human beings, we have a born on date and an expiration date, and the dash in the middle stands for impact. That's the meaning of life. What type of positive impact can you make in other people's lives, right? And sometimes you have to take a week out your schedule, or sometimes you might have to take a couple days out your schedule. For some of you, it might be you need to take a few weeks out of your life, and you need to figure that out. You see, it's easy to get busy grinding. It's easy to be a part of the rat race. It's easy to fall into comfort zones. It's easy to fall into routines. It's easy to fall into those things and to minimalize, to start to reduce, to start to lessen our light and therefore lessen our impact. That's easy to do. What's harder to do is to say, you know what? I'm going to go across the country. You know what? I'm going to invest time that I could be spending with my family family. I'm going to invest time. I could be hanging out with my friends out at the club. I'm going to invest the time that I could be scrolling or watching things on social media. I'm going to invest that time into taking my life and my impact to the next level. So that's what we've been talking about this week here on hashtag Rise and Grind. We've been talking about doing whatever it takes to ultimately get you to those next levels in your life and the next level impact that you can make by doing so. For those of you that missed earlier episodes, or even a recap for those of you that were here, on Monday morning, we talked about the fact that you ultimately know what you need to do. Most of us do. Most of us have that little itch, that little urge. We know that we have to stop procrastinating. But then we procrastinate on stopping procrastinating. We know that we got to run our calendars tighter and better. We've heard it a million times. But we still have white space, the white space that allows drifting, which drifting, if you don't know what that means, you need to look up a book called Outwitting the Devil. And in the book Outwitting the Devil, it talks directly about how the devil loves the space in between, where you're drifting, where you're floating around aimlessly, and ultimately uses that space and that time to knock you off track and to reduce your impact. So we talked about that. You ultimately know you need to be getting up early and doing your morning five simple steps to an extraordinary life. But are you doing it? You know you need to finish that paper. You know you need to pick up that phone. You know you need to make that phone call. You know you need to do those things, right? It's time for you to start fighting back. Right? It's time for you to start fighting back. Life has kicked you down, punched you down. Somebody told you you couldn't. Somebody told you you were small. Somebody told you you'll never achieve. You'll never be able to reach those dreams. And as life has just constantly been punching since you were a kid, telling you you can't, telling you you're limited, telling you it's impossible, we shrink. And so Monday we talked about stepping out of that and doing whatever it takes to ultimately fulfill the divine nature that exists in both you and I. Now on Tuesday here on hashtag Rise and Grind, we talked about David and Goliath. We talked about how right now in the world there are many David and Goliath moments going on for many industries. You got big tech, big industry, big money starting to run all over. Small, family owned and operated, more relational, more capable, really. But you're starting to see this big Goliath showing up all around the world. And so we talked about that on Tuesday. We talked about how, well, what does that look like for you? How can you do whatever it takes to make sure that you come out on top, that you're the one that grabs the slingshot and the stone, that you're the one that steps in and takes out Goliath and cuts off his head. And we talked about what that looks like. And I gave you 5 practical things that you could do. You need to make sure you're tracking and measuring everything that you do. You're going to need to increase your productivity. You cannot keep doing same and go up against the giants that are coming in your life. We talked about having the right tools. You see, David took down Goliath with the slingshot and the stone, but it was the exact tool that was needed and required in order for him to elevate his impact on this planet and ultimately take down the big, bad 9 foot, what did it say, 1.5 cubits, or I'm sorry, 6.5 cubits tall giant, right? Then we also talked about knowing exactly which screw to adjust and how important that is to do our research and become an expert. And then we talked about the most important component of the whole thing, which is you need to own it, right? You have to step into who you are. You need to own it. You need to boldly proclaim, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is where I'm going. Ain't nothing getting in my way. David showed up when all were scared and said, what are y'all doing? Let me step into the ring. This fool's defying both God and man. Who does he think he is? On Wednesday, we talked about this movie called Land. This movie where this woman just threw everything away, threw away her cell phone, threw away her connections, threw away her relationships, threw away everything, and went out into the middle of the woods and did whatever it took to break free, because she was bogged down with the burden of survivor's guilt from losing her husband and her son. She was bogged down with the depression. She was bogged down with this overall, this cloud, this funk. She simply couldn't get out of it when she was in the real world, when she was constantly reminded of the things that she was missing, when she was constantly reminded of the joy that had been stolen from her heart. She just simply couldn't do it. She couldn't break free. So she goes into the woods. She drops her cell phone in the trash. She gets rid of the car, and she ultimately has to learn to hunt. She has to learn to find water. She has to learn to battle against bears and Mother Nature. She has to extract the greatness inside herself so that she can understand that she is not a victim, but ultimately a victor, which is what I say to you this morning, Amy Kennedy, which is what I say to you this morning, AJ Anderson, which is what I say to you this morning, Kim Fair, which is what I say to you this morning, Dustin Seidler, which is what I say to you this morning, TM, which is what I say to you this morning, Cher and Yana and Regina, that you are not a victim, but ultimately a victor. And we talked about what that looks like on Wednesday. You can go back and catch all these episodes at GlennLundy.com if you so choose. And then yesterday, right here on hashtag Rise and Grind, we talked about that it takes the same energy to think big as it does to think small. So there's 3 simple components that we need you to apply so that you can increase your impact and step into your greatness. We need to make sure that we give it time, because you don't know how long the universe is going to take to curate you fulfilling your dreams. We talked about you have to have a huge, massive dreams. It takes the same energy. You need to have huge, massive dreams. If you have small dreams, the universe is going to give you small results. Simple as that. And the last thing is you have to have belief. Time, big dreams, and belief. That's the equation. That's the equation for you being able to live at that whatever it takes level, the biggest and most powerful life that you can live. So today we are going to wrap this series up, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Today we are going to wrap this series up, but before we do, y'all know what we got to do on this particular show. Y'all know what we got to do. Alpha, we're going to try it. A little bit of music. We keep that volume low. We get that dance on. This is the part of the show where we do some dancing. That's right. That's right. Y'all know. Y'all know. This is the part of the show where we get the body moving. Listen, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. Fair enough? So we need to get rocking and rolling. If you're running right now, run a little harder. If you're lifting right now, lift a little heavier. If you're in bed right now, get your rear end up. Let's stinking go. We got things to do. We got lives to make an impact on. All right? So let's get rocking and rolling. This is also the part of the show where I ask you to please hit that share button. I need you to hit that share button. I believe if we can help people change the way they start their day, it'll make a massive impact in their lives and on this planet. I truly believe that.
Good morning.
And sometimes all it takes to change the way somebody starts their day is for you to hit that share button. So if you're around Clubhouse, I need you to go ahead and hit the plus sign, invite some more folks into this room. I would greatly appreciate it. On Facebook, go ahead and hit that share button, tag some friends, let them know we're here. I would greatly appreciate that as well. This is also the part of the show where I want to say good morning to you, but I want you to say good morning to me. Whether you're watching live, you're watching on replay, you're on the podcast, you're on YouTube, wherever you're at, let's connect. I want to see and hear from you. Please, please, please. So good morning, Tara. Good morning, Jen. Good morning, Tony and Monica. Good morning, Jeff, I said the entertainer. Jeff, the entrepreneur, my man. Good morning, Cameron. It's great to see you. Good morning, Babylon Brooke. I'm so glad you're here this morning. What's up, Sharon and Coco? Good morning, Michelle McCain. It's great to see you this morning. I also see Douglas is here, and I see Core Element. My man, Core Element is in the building. Good morning, Mr. Core Element. Good morning, Regina and Myra. Good morning, Salam and Anthony. Good morning, BJ. Great to see you this morning. Good morning, Vaughn and John Paul. What's up, Gina Keys? Great to see you. Good to see Charlene and Rob and Racole. My dear friend Racole is in the building. Good morning, Latrice and Steven. I see Amanda Dahl is up in here this morning. Great to see you, Amanda. What's up, Amy and Mel and Joyce and Matreya? Great to see you, Matreya. I believe we have a call scheduled later today. Super excited for that. What's up, Basie and Karen? I also want to say good morning to Robin Price and Kim Karen. I'll say good morning to Vicky Everett and Keisha White. I'm going to say good morning to Sean Shapiro. What's up, Sean? I see Mike Strong's up in here. I see Michael Healy and Sam Woosley and Gina Keys. Melvin Rodriguez. What's up, Michael Guthrie? Great to see you as well. I see Brad Smith, Don Sankey, Coco Lewis, Wes Storms in here this morning. AJ Anderson's in here this morning. Lydia Best, Mr. Jeremy Melvin. Great to see you this morning. What's up, Sherilyn Harry and Gail Beecraft, Doug Thurston, Miss Liza Myers, Voices. Everybody's up in here this morning on hashtag Vibes. Man, I gotta tell you, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for choosing to be here with me. Thank you for sharing the mornings with me from all around the world. It means so much to me, Rebecca and Ethan and Joseph and Rashida, that you choose to spend this time with me. It means the absolute world. It really does. But I am also grateful, so grateful for your grace this week as I've dealt with technical difficulties as well as time zone difficulties. Your grace, the kind words, the encouragement, it has been my fuel, and I am forever grateful for all of you. Let's go ahead and wrap up this incredible series, whatever it takes here on hashtag Rise and Grind. L.A. Williams coming in. Beautiful. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, Mr. L.A. Williams. All right, listen, 2,000 years ago, all right, 2,000 years ago, there was this dude that walked on the planet, this dude named Jesus that I believe most of you have heard of. And 2,000 years ago, Jesus would walk from city to city, from camp to camp, right? He would get up in the morning from the age 30 to age 33, and he would walk, or maybe ride a donkey. I don't know exactly. Maybe sometimes he was on a donkey, right? But we ultimately know he didn't drive nowhere. And we ultimately know he didn't fly anywhere, right? We know that. He didn't drive, he didn't fly. So he walked or maybe rode an animal, some type of livestock, from city to city. He'd go from city to city, mile after mile after mile after mile. And he would face storms. He would face, whatever type of weather. He would face hunger. He would face people trying to kill him, right? He would face people mocking him and bullying him and lying about him and making stories about him. And he would face all of these things. Jesus would face all of these things every single day, right? He would face all of these things. And he would do so in order to get an audience of 40. Or maybe sometimes it'd be an audience of 12. Sometimes he'd do it all to get an audience of 1. The Bible says that he would tell stories about leaving the 99. Leaving the 99 for the 1, how important that was, right? So he would do all of these things so that he could ultimately share a message of hope. He wanted to share a message of hope and a message of love. And he did whatever it takes to get that message out. He didn't care what he had to face, including death itself, to ultimately deliver a message of hope and a message of love. That whatever it takes mentality that Jesus had back then against all odds has made a tremendous impact and completely reshaped the entire planet and all of humanity that exists on it. The Bible has been distributed 3.6 billion times. There's 3.6 billion copies. It's the number one best-selling book of all time. It's impacted billions of people, right? And it was one man and his journey and his willingness to do whatever it takes. 250 years ago, our forefathers of this country right here in America, 250 years ago, they did whatever it takes to offer this idea of freedom and democracy that those of us here in the United States live with could take form. They battled alongside their brothers and their sisters. They lost loved ones along the way. They fought they fought famines. They fought lack of financial understanding. They fought being able to own land or be able to farm or be able to grow crops. Like there are generation after generation after generation of those that came before us to make America what it is today, so that you and I have this opportunity right here. This opportunity to be able to click a button, to be able to share energy, to be able to pour into one another, to be able to connect in the way that we do. For me to be able to travel and go to Napa Valley and be able to go to Dallas and to be able to hop on a plane and come here to Southern California and to be able to meet up with my friends and to be able to be an entrepreneur and to be able to open my own business and to be able to create my own wealth. Our forefathers did whatever it takes to make that a reality for me here in this country. Now, 50 years ago, a guy named Martin Luther King Jr. and many like him, just over 70 years ago, a guy named Martin Luther King and many like him stood in the face of racism, stood in the face of fire hoses, stood in the face of beat downs, stood in the face of lynchings, stood in the face of murder, stood in the face of being jailed. They stood in the face of every absolute horror that you could possibly imagine, where man was not treated as man, but ultimately treated as something less than. And those brave men and women did whatever it takes to offer integrity, to offer rights, to offer opportunity to people of color and people of minority in this country, and ultimately made a global impact around the world. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to sit here where I am today having this conversation with you. My mom and dad wouldn't have been able to get married. I may not have ever been birthed if it wasn't for them doing whatever it takes. And now here we are in 2021. And we've seen the greats like Nelson Mandela, Winston Churchill. We've seen William Shakespeare and Abraham Lincoln. We've seen Moses and Joan of Arc. We've seen Mozart and Einstein and JFK and Malcolm X. We've seen Eleanor Roosevelt and Nikola Tesla. We've seen Princess Diana. We've seen Steve Jobs. And now we see you. You see, it's your turn. Here we are in 2021. And it's your turn, Niku. It's your turn, Sarah McCord. It's your turn, Barbara Majeski and Molly Dare. It's your turn, El Michelle and Dr. Rowe. It's your turn, Kimberly and Janie and my man Mario sent me an awesome message yesterday. It's your turn, David Hill and Jeff and Haley. It's your turn, Pam and Janice and Tara. It's your turn, John Paul Guidry. It's your turn, Lydia Best. It's your turn, Vicky Everett. It's your turn, Wes Storm and Brad Smith and Krista Bug. It's your turn. It's you. You see, they've all come before us and done whatever it takes to give us the most tremendous opportunity in the history of all time. We're on the backside of COVID. Technology is rampant. We don't have to walk. We don't have to climb on donkeys. We don't have to do any of that. All we have to do is push a button and we can reach more people than Jesus ever could on foot. All we have to do is push a button and we can make a more profound impact than the founding fathers of this country did. All we have to do is collectively agree that we're going to be ultimately become the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. And we can make a bigger global movement around this planet than Martin Luther King and all his friends and family did. And his generation is what I should say. It's 2021 and you have the technology. You have the resources. You have the gift, the talent, and the ability. It's all built within you to ultimately do whatever it takes to create a better future. And I'm not asking, I'm requiring. You see, many have maybe asked you to lean into your greatness. I'm done asking, I'm requiring. Because see, you are a child of God, the God of the universe, God that made everything. And that means in you, in your DNA is the ability to create. It is in your DNA. You have the ability to create. And as we are all connected, when you step into the best version of yourself that you can possibly be, the impact that it makes on your friends, on your family members, on your coworkers, and ultimately the impact it makes on me, it matters. The decisions you make today, they matter. You hear me? So you are required, as of today, consider yourself on notice. You are required to become the absolute best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Why? Because I absolutely love you and I absolutely need you. The world needs what only you've got. It's your gift. It is unique to you. So it's time for you to lean in, do whatever it takes, and let's make a global impact on this planet. Fair enough? Fair enough. Listen, if you need more videos like this, you can go to glennlundy.com. That's right. There's tons of them up there. If you haven't connected with me, said good morning, make sure you do that. Shoot me a message, hit me up, so on and so forth. But most importantly, maximize this day. Do whatever it takes. Let's get it done. And then come back here on Monday, and we're going to do this all over again at 5:30 a.m. here on hashtag Rise and Grind. Have an incredible day, my friends. See ya.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. Hashtag rise and grind, hashtag rise and grind. First thing on my mind, early in the morning time. Daily motivation, feeling so divine. Waking up the nation, hashtag rise and grind. Hashtag rise and grind, grind, grind. Hashtag rise and grind, grind, grind.
Is that you again, LA?